Hi, Editor Cheese here. Sorry about the microphone pickup during this video. As you can tell, I have a new headset and I'm still dialing in the output, or rather the input volume of the mic as I record. This being the first video I've recorded with the headset. So, my apologies if this comes through as particularly loud or obnoxious. Deal with it. I'll try and fix it for the future.
Hello, I'm the Smoking Cheddar, but you probably already knew that. Now, I'm a bit late to the party on doing my review on this officer for the Officer Spotlight, and that is because I am very busy in real life, and that's why you didn't get a video last week. I've been busy at work, I've been busy doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and I actually recorded this video twice already, but I've had to can it both times due to being interrupted halfway through. So we're going to try again. We're going to try again today, and what we'll do is what we always do, which is if you're new to a Officer Spotlight video, we will grade the skills left to right tactical skill first, obviously 1 to 5, and at the end we'll give an overall score, and then we will discuss possible pairings and what we could use him for. So today we have Rogue Edge. He is a infantry field attack officer. Let's have a look and see what that means. And obviously, I'm a bit partial to this officer already. He has a knife, and I am, of course, an Englishman. As we all know, English people like to get a bit stabby. Make of that what you will. That is a joke in poor taste, but it is still a joke. So the first skill is tacticals. His tactical skill is Brutal Breach, deals skill damage to the target up to 1800 damage coefficiency, and inflicts sundered armor, reducing the target's damage resist by 20% for 7 seconds. If the target is already affected by sundered armor, this will give an additional 400 coefficiency skill damage. So this is very similar to a skill we've seen on um, Valkyrie, for example, where we have a Sunder armor and it already being applied, you then get bonus skill damage. Sorry, that's the wrong skill. Is it? It's one of these along here. It doesn't really matter which one. There we go. But we get a 400 coefficiency bonus. It means we can potentially push this guy up to 2,200 with a 20% damage resistance debuff. So this is extremely good out in the field. It's also pretty good in defense. It's not very handy when attacking an enemy base, but as it says up there, we're looking at field and attack. As far as this skill will go, it is going to be a 5. Why is it going to be a 5? Because we get a full 1800, which is immediately a flat 4, and then we're looking at hitting that 20% for 7 seconds, and then on top of that, which would already be a very tasty 4 but not quite a 5, we then push it over the top with a bonus set of damage if sundered armor is already on the target. So this is straight up a 5, and we're off to a flying start. Moving on to his second skill, Crushing Combatives. It's a balanced, but this balance can only be trained in on the infantry. That's what that little shield in the corner means. But we do get a normal attack boost and a normal attack resilience buff of up to 25% and 25% respectively. So this is really good if you're using infantry skill damage on single target. This is also really good if you're using infantry unit damage on single target. That is absolutely fantastic. A 25% is very good, and this would be a 5 if and only if it wasn't restricted by the fact it could be on infantry only. Because infantry is not really ran by a lot of people. Tanks are more common because you can have the light tank, the helicopter, the tank hunter, the super heavy, the MB, the medium, and so on and so forth. Because of that, I'm going to grade this a 3. It gets knocked 2 points because in order to train infantry, in order to run infantry, you have to commit to the infantry tree, which means something else has to suffer. And people generally who run infantry are running infantry. You know who you are if you're running infantry. You know what I'm talking about if you have tried to put infantry in your rotation and you've previously trained tanks and artillery, or you've previously had tech for tanks and artillery. Um, you just know that this is really restrictive. So this is going to get a 3, but don't by any means mean that's a bad skill. It's a very good skill. We're just simply reflecting the fact that it is quite restrictive. Moving on to his third skill, armored armor havoc. It increases the damage intensity by 25%. This is an average now, so we are going to give it an average score of 3. All that being said, I believe last year the average was 20, so this has kind of increased, but we're going to have to go on what is coming out currently. And obviously, we've had 2 officers recently where we've got a 20% damage intensity, but then they get a bonus 10% for being out in the field. So they are really encouraging the field play through the damage intensity, whereas this one's going to get a flat 25 whether he's in the field or in the base. It's going to be a 3. I don't want to give it a 4 unless it was out in the field and had a field bonus. You know, it's not bad. It's not brilliant either. Moving on to the fourth skill, precision pace. Increases the firing accuracy of the officer's infantry troop by 4% and the troop speed by 4%. Both of these can go up to 10%. Now, I'm not actually interested in the firing accuracy bonus because realistically, the firing accuracy bonus for infantry is fairly irrelevant. The amount of you're using volume over accuracy, or accuracy by volume, as some people say. Infantry fire a hell of a lot of unit damage out in a very short period of time. They're great at burst damage, so having a bonus accuracy does help, but it isn't really essential. However, that being said, that troop speed buff of 10% is going to come in handy. It's going to come in very, very, very handy. We're going to mark that up as a 4 because out in the field, that's going to be really good at chasing away enemy units, or chasing down enemy units, as we might get into. Which brings us on to the final skill, which is Swift Reflex. When attacking an enemy troop, this officer's infantry troop has a 75% chance to reduce the officer's skill prep time by half a second. This effect can be triggered once every 2 seconds. So you can you can shave off a couple of seconds on the troop skill charge time here, which is really leaning on the fact that this is going to be a skill damage based unit. We can already see that reflected in perhaps the the balance skill as well. So this is quite nice, and we've also got an 1800 here. So this, I really like this. This is going to be a 5 because we can do some really gnarly stuff with this out in the field that's going to be absolutely mental. And that gives him a flat 4.0, ladies. He is a flat 4. So he's not absolutely amazing, but he is going to be exceptionally good. If you are running infantry and you like your field attack with your infantry, I like my field attack with infantry, you can use this guy. So the next question I hear you saying, Cheddar, who the hell should we pair him with? Now, controversially, I have never particularly liked this officer. Everyone keeps saying he's a great officer and I don't know how to play him or whatever. I really don't care. But we can use this trained in skill. Okay, so we don't necessarily want this officer specifically, but we probably want this trained in skill because we can reduce the target speed. We can stack that with our movement speed increase, but that's not the officer we want to pair him with. We could pair him with Margarita. Why? Because we have a high skill damage output that's going to play onto that high skill damage. We've also got a utility based attack here, which will then stack with Rogue's utility. Obviously, his utility is a cooldown, and her utility is a disrupt of some description, which will also play into the movement speed aspect. We also have damage intensity bonuses, and we have a chance to dodge out in the field, which is also very handy. Another officer you could potentially pair him with to also benefit from intensity and various other bonuses is Lady of Justice, because we've got that movement speed increase, damage intensity increase, and target troop speed um, reduction. So again, we're looking at stacking that. That's very heavy on the utility, but it is a reduction in skill damage. But we're kind of looking more towards these massive bonuses here rather than the actual skill output with her. Naturally, we can always go with everyone's favorite flavor, Lady of Shadow, because we are dealing massive amounts of damage and she is going to give us bonuses for being in the field, such as the aforementioned damage intensity of 30%. We're also getting an HP and firepower bonus, and we're getting another stack on that normal attack boost and the officer skill boost there as well, which moves neatly alongside this normal attack resilience as well as this normal attack boost. Very, very handy because we're looking at exchanging gunfire with other units. Someone else we could pair him with potentially in our lineup is Lonesome Star. Lonesome Star gives us officer skill resilience. He gives us non-fortification type bonuses out in the field for AGs. We've got a bonus shield, which is nice. We've got an AOE we've got an AOE skill attack, which has a spillover and does 750 bonus to adjacent targets. And we've also got a skill boost of 30%, which again plays into the skill damage. Although I probably wouldn't really recommend him. I would probably seriously recommend Margarita or Lady of Shadow. And should you have access to the final suggested officer, should you have access to him, we actually get this. Fires a metal slug towards the target, dealing damage of up to 300 coefficiency, reducing the target's armor by 15%. We're effectively going to reduce that target armor, and we're already doing 1500 plus the 3. So we're getting a bonus of 1800 there. So that is a good pairing for him. Pair him with Warrior Wiz if you have him. Obviously, that damage resistance, it doesn't specifically say that it's sundered armor, but if it does count as sundered armor, as I believe it does, don't quote me, I have been known to be wrong on that, then you're going to get a bonus of 400 just by virtue of having him in there. I mean, hell, you could put this guy out first, and then you could put Rogue in as the aid, and then you would automatically get your skill bonus of 400 on the target. So you can really do some funky stuff with him. You can play the movement speed angle, you can play the skill attack skill damage angle, you can play the damage resistance angle. I mean, if you wanted to play the damage resistance angle as well, you could also bring in Golden Eagle. As we know, he has a damage resistance and normal attack boost and debuff for the enemy target, as well as scalable skill damage. And also we have damage intensity and a critical strike rating. So if you are using a Vanguard infantry unit, this would be a good combo as well, as you get a nat 5 from the infantry in Vanguard, I believe. Have a quick double check. Forlorn Hope, yep. Vanguard Infantry gives you a nat 5 critical strike rating, which when you've got a very high rate of fire from the infantry, if we could just double check. Our attributes here at Silver 2, we're looking at a load time of 21 seconds. Does it give us our firing rate? 0.16 seconds per shot. So yeah, in like 1 second you're going to fire 8 or 9 shots. And when you're at 5% critical strike rating and you pump that number up a little bit, you can then see more and more critical strike damage. And obviously the critical strike damage is 150% of the actual damage output. So just shy of like a bonus 200 skill efficient attack. So those are a few suggestions which I could go into in greater detail in a future video. You do have my apologies that you didn't get a video last week, kind of, because like I said, I have been busy. I've been very busy with work, and to be perfectly honest, I don't get paid for this. This is a hobby, and sometimes I won't be able to put a video out. This week you might be lucky, you might get two. Today is a Tuesday, and hopefully I will have this out by Wednesday or Thursday my time, which means technically I'll miss the cutoff for the content creators program for this week, but I think they like a minimum of 3 a month, so you might get 2 next week. Not that I don't follow I don't follow all the rules for the content creation side of things anyway, but hey, if you guys have made it this far, thanks for watching. I've been the Smoking Cheddar, and you've been very patient. Thank you very much for watching. A link to the Discord will be in the description box down below. Remember to donate a pizza to the rules, or you will become the most mocked person that week. Should you succeed, you're more than welcome to join in on bullying me in the Discord. It happens on the regular. What can I say? It's wet outside. Wear a raincoat, and I'm now going to eat my ramen and drink my Pepsi. I'm still waiting for that sponsor, by the way. Where's that sponsor at, Pepsi?